have a featured speaker today.
There you go. Okay. Hey, Duke,
Yes, sir.
welcome.
Welcome. Or I'm sorry. I just got off a very long. So
You know, my wife says to me years ago, she says, you don't multitask. And I looked at her and I said, you're right, I quadruple task. We're all over the place, right?
yes, sir.
Wheels.
It's fun to try to keep track of your own mind sometime. Quite often, that's the greatest challenge one has.
Amen. Amen. Now with all this AI and everything else that's going on, man, it's only gonna get worse before it gets
I
better.
agree.
I'm kind of thinking that the government might want to manage artificial intelligence a little bit better because a lot of hacking going on, all sorts of crazy stuff. So who
Come
knows?
on, what have they ever done to make you think that they would do something like that?
Well, let me put this. You were in the military, right?
I'm retired, yes, sir.
Okay. And then Willem,
Yes, yes.
they should only have one time zone. When you guys are in the military, did they use Zulu time?
It depended on if you were from my own experience. If you were in a particular area, you use that time zone. A lot different if you're calling close air support or something like that. Yeah, then it's Zulu time. If not, it was where you were, just 24-hour period.
Yep, yep, yep. Well, the world keeps changing. I got out of the military probably. How old are you?
I'm 50 now. So the big
Okay.
old 50.
Okay, I got out of the service in 1972. So I'm no spring chicken.
That ain't bad.
Yep, 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 yep. And what branch were you in?
I was Army, sir.
Gotcha. Willem, how about you?
Army.
Army?
Yes.
What'd you do, brother? If I can ask, Willem, what'd you do while you were in?
Army medical, but then I was in civil affairs, and then yeah, I was Iraq in 2008 with Army Civil Affairs, and then on a special assignment with the Marines in 2011 in Helmand, Afghanistan.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But that's my Army Reserve career. My civilian career. I'm NYPD retired.
NYPD?
Yes,
Retired.
yes. Army.
So
Army Special Assignment, they call it. Yeah.
very cool. Very cool. So everybody else out of the eastern seaboard? Are you guys out of the East Coast?
No, I'm Central Texas.
Gotcha. Willem, how about you?
New York City, the New York City area, basically. Yeah.
Gotcha. Got it.
Can I
And
ask you there? I kind of ask this a lot, Willem. Is there any other why did you retire in New York? I mean, I can give you two quick answers for Texas, just veterans benefits, not just for me, for my kids, but also tax availability in regards to property tax for certain disability ratings. I always talk to any vets if I don't know them, and I'm like, why'd you retire there? Did I ask, or is that too personal, sir?
No, I was born and raised in New York City. So my network is here, family network, friend network, right? Of course, San Antonio, because I'm Army medical. Fort Sam Houston, obviously, is something I would consider. But yeah, I'm not opposed to going to Texas. It's just, and I know that the tax issue is great to be in Texas, but staying in New York City and getting my NYPD pension, and then waiting for my reserve pension to come around, because I just retired from the reserve last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did 12 years enlisted, the last 22 years commissioned. So 30, I got 34 years in. So
Okay, and I'm not advocating for Texas. I talked to Governor Abbott and I was like, if you pay me, I will, but he didn't agree. So it's me just shooting the shit with other veterans.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
no, I can tell you right now that specifically for NYPD retirees, that it's really three places, usually Tennessee, Texas, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Yeah, Florida's become very popular too. It's if you got certain things here, like I don't know if all of my kids will go to a state college or even college. I mean, I think one of them will be a heck of a tradesman, but they do get any Texas state funded college, they would be able to go for free, which is a very nice perk as well, if that's a route they chose.
Yes.
That's all. Sorry, I'm interrupting a meeting for no reason.
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
even
No,
know
you're not
anybody yet.
interrupting. You're not interrupting.
not
I
at
did
all.
need. Have not been able to reach our featured speaker. I got his voicemail at work. Don't know if he's if he's having technical issues or not. Hopefully, he will be able to join us. If not, I've had pretty strong response to our requests for folks to share their story, and right now we're scheduling speakers out past July 12th. So we definitely want to. I know Austin is on the schedule to be a speaker, and I'm not recognizing off the top of my head any of your other names as speakers, but that is what we want to do here. I mean, we definitely appreciate you coming on board here, and the invitation was to basically talk about your veteran stories, and for those that aren't familiar with what I'm doing with my nonprofit, to talk a little bit about that. And what we started last week and what we want to continue is to give about at least half of our hour to hearing the story of one of you, a veteran, and actually we got only part one done last week, and it was pretty powerful as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to be having him on in about 2 more weeks. So Duke, when you were saying interrupting, no, you're not interrupting. If we had our stuff together and had the guest speaker ready to go, maybe so. But as of today, no.
Well, Dennis, I got to say, this is the first virtual meeting I've ever been on where a
Seriously?
speaker or presenter was not on time and not there.
Oh.
How dare you, sir, do that? I have always had my speakers there, every time.
It's
Oh,
amazing.
goodness.
People are people, I guess, huh?
It's,
People, and technology is technology too. And some of us are more dinosaurs than others. And I know I've had my challenges with this platform in particular in the past as well. So I give everybody a lot of grace in terms of that.
What other platforms have you used besides Zoom?
Me, gosh, it's been a while. I've been using Zoom almost exclusively for the past couple of years, but there was a networking group that was doing stuff on a different platform. It was not Zoom. It was something whose name escapes me. I think it was kind of internal to them. There
Team?
was, I know when I was working for the College of Nursing, we were using, gosh, oh man, we were using GoToMeeting, and we were using another software that actually hosted the video piece to it. But honestly, I don't remember. I think Zoom has dominated the environment since then.
Big time. Even blowing away Microsoft with their team.
Oh yeah, Teams was one of them. Yes, that was it.
Teams
I
is
said Microsoft Teams.
I'm sorry, must say?
No, I said Microsoft Teams before.
Right.
Yeah, I think as with a lot of MS products, I mean, I have the entire O365 Office package for my guys. Company I just started, and we still use Zoom. Not that Zoom's exceptional. Teams, I just feel like product wise, they tried to cram too much into it, and it feels like Bing or Microsoft Edge. Every time you're trying to open something, Teams is kind of poking its head out, like, "Hey, how about me? Use me, use me." And
Right.
not a big fan of it.
Interesting.
So
Well,
here's what I'd like to suggest in sort of in the absence of our featured speaker. I'd like to suggest that I'll take the first part to kind of give an update of who I am, what we're doing, where we're at with the projects we're working on with our nonprofit, and then spend the rest of our time getting to know each of you a little bit better. I know Austin's not going to be able to participate because he's listening at work, but Duke, Tony, Willem, and Kevin would love to be able to get to know what's going on in your world, and hopefully this can be beneficial to everybody here. So basically, I am Dennis Schroeder. For those of you who don't know me, I'm retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, Medical Service Corps. Spent 24 years in uniform. About 5 years ago, had actually it was prior to that, but started the nonprofit 5 years ago because I felt that our comrades in arms that made that ultimate sacrifice, paid that ultimate price, deserve to have their stories remembered and told. So the Price of Freedom is dedicated to doing, Price of Freedom Foundation is dedicated to doing just that. We collect, preserve, and tell to as wide of an audience as possible the complete life stories of those who made that ultimate sacrifice. We have one story that is complete except for the video piece. That is the story of Machinist Mate First Class Alfonso Abdal Amos, who was born in the Philippines, served time in the Philippine Army prior to joining the U.S. Navy at his father's behest to make a better life for himself. Met his wife in the Philippines while serving in the U.S. Navy. They had 3 children together. He was a machinist mate and served 18 and a half years in the Navy and was lost at sea in October of 1998. We have researched and published that his book. To convert the video that we have collected into a documentary form requires a lot more resources than we have available. The lowest cost I've been quoted is $30,000 for a 1-hour documentary. The attorneys and others in the industry independently have told us we should be planning on $100,000 to $150,000 per hour of documentary for video. So that's where we're at. That's kind of where the challenge is. With this first book, we will be presenting it to the family. We present this to the family and give it to the family and people that we interviewed to tell the story at no cost to them in hardback edition. This is going to happen on August 10th on the flight deck of the USS Midway in San Diego, California. And this ship is important in this story because Alfonso was twice assigned to that ship during his Navy career. We are currently working on 3 additional stories and looking for more to tell. And that's kind of where we're at. We're looking for assistance. Hopefully people can say, hey, I love this idea. I'll help in whatever way it is. I mean, volunteering is certainly one of the biggest ways people are helping us currently. But we're currently looking for organizations we can partner with as sponsor organizations to help with this. We would love to find a hotel chain or a rental car agency or a gas company that would sponsor certain elements of our travel and research, because I will tell you right now, I have about 4 weeks of travel coming up here this summer, and it's a challenge to try to make that travel happen without, I mean, when we're paying full retail price on things. So that's kind of where I'm at. I didn't want to take up too much more time of your time. Love to let's start with Duke. I know you were talking before, but I was distracted trying to reach our
Duke, Duke, I'm going to ask you to please give me one moment.
oh,
And
sure.
I want to go to you for a moment. I think I asked you before we met. I'm hoping you gave it more consideration. Are there any colleges near you?
There
For your
are several
colleges?
and there are several colleges of art and you know, that do you know, video work. I've got connections with 2 filmmakers here in the Nashville area. The colleges, you know, perhaps it's probably because I don't have experience doing this, that they don't want to take on these projects because they can't fit within a specific curricula or a specific.
Suggesting that.
I mean,
I am
that's
sure. No, I'm not suggesting that.
not that's exactly what Nazi College of Art gave me as feedback.
Okay, let's take a step back. What I'm suggesting, we'll talk about it in greater detail. Some of the students can do possibly internships or apprenticeships.
Right.
They get college credit for doing yours without taking a college course. So they're getting experience. And that may be the way for you to get, how to express this, inexpensive professional help
Right.
for your cause. And that may be the way. So let's talk about that further and brainstorm it. Please contact
Okay.
me. You have my information. And
I do. And
we'll go from
yes.
there, but I'll be glad to help you. I'll be glad to help steer you in that direction.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'll be glad to make calls. Yeah, look, I'm so used to people hanging up on me. So what's another few phone?
All right. Well, thank you, Moshe. All right. Duke, can you I know that you were talking while I was trying to follow up with our scheduled speaker, and I didn't hear or understand what you were saying. So could you please give me a introduce yourself and kind of tell your story a little bit here?
Could I ask real quick, the relationship? I read everything after you sent this. Is there the difference in the relationship between My City and Price of Freedom?
My City is run and owned by Bob Friedenthal, and he and I met back in last fall, and he loved what I was doing and wanted to help, and so that's how it is. There's no, it's a collaboration, I would guess you would say. Does that be a good way to describe it, Bob?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm also a veteran. So I used to run veteran groups quite a while back. I got out of the service in 1972. So I used to run veteran groups in West Los Angeles. And just there's a strong bond between veterans. My daughter, and I've mentioned this before in these meetings. My daughter's got a doctorate in psychology, and she worked for the Veterans Administration in Redlands, California, which is the eastern side of LA County. And she mentioned that it's probably one of the hardest jobs she's ever had because of the amount of suicides that go on. And the interesting part, it's not necessarily the young people that are committing suicide, it's the older generation. So people are retiring from their work careers, and idle minds are the devil's workshop, as I say. And they started becoming suicidal later in their lifespan. And I think that's so,
there's yes, and there's lots going on about this. I post most recently in my little town of White House, Tennessee. One of my buddies I hang out at the cigar lounge with is a Marine, and he's closer to my age, so he's been around a while. He has a nephew, or I should say, had a nephew, who is a Special Forces medic, who was medically retired from the Army after about, I think, 8 or 9 years, and just committed suicide this past Wednesday night.
Wow.
He was 47 years old.
Wow.
And so I know how devastating that is. Even though I never knew his nephew, I knew my friend, I know his family, I know what the devastation that is causing to them. And he left behind a wife and children still at home.
How sad.
It is crushing. And so I don't know the answer. Honestly, I don't. I know my own walk. I played around with the idea as a young man a lot, and came close to actually pulling a trigger on myself when I was 17. So I have a little bit of understanding from that perspective, but I never spoke to a soul about this until I was in my 50s.
Hmm.
So it's like, how do you reach somebody? How do you make a difference in their life? How do you even know that it's going on in their head? I don't think we really do. But for me, I think part of it is, and part of what we want to do here is to tell people you are important. Your story is important. Your life is important. We want to know you. We want to know your story. We want to hear your story. And that is what the message I'm hoping that each of you gets. And I hope that more and more of our colleagues, our veteran friends and family understand and get that sense from us.
The number one
Because
thing, the number
yes,
one
sir.
thing is getting people to talk about it. So, um, my wife is a patient advocate, and she's helping people through dying processes and all that. And she lost her father when she was 24 years old. And this is what she talks about all the time, is getting people to talk about their life circumstances. There's pluses and minuses, but there's also people here to support you through some of these trials and tribulations that we run through. And this is one of the reasons we put this group together, is to get veterans talking to veterans, being able to share what's happening in their lives. So, Dennis, thank you for sharing your thoughts when you were much younger. And they're real. I mean, these are real emotions, real circumstances. Most of us bottle it up.
Yep.
Especially, I think, veterans have learned to shut up and do the work, But if you're not talking about the pluses and minuses of your life, then you're making in my opinion, you're making a huge mistake. There's always somebody to be able to talk to. So my daughter's got a doctorate in psychology. My wife's a patient advocate. She should have been a doctor. And she's always telling people, as a patient advocate, she's dealing with people whose families are in the dying process.
Mm-hmm.
And that's half the battle, is to get people to just open up, share your emotion. So that's not something the guys do. But it's important.
Right. All right. So we're about halfway through our hour here. It's Duke again. I'll go back to you. Can you give me
Rewind.
like 5 minutes of your story?
Yeah. My name's Duke Birch. First name's Thomas. I will sometimes answer to it. Sister made it in the 4th grade, called me Thomas, and just never took. She's about the only one. I grew up in Colorado. I graduated high school with my current wife, current wife, my only wife, in 1993. Was kind of your classic. My parents made enough that we lived, and just enough that I qualified for absolutely nothing from for grants, loans, etc. for college. And so I tried about a year at Colorado State University, working 3 jobs, and they wouldn't let me start the next year because I still owed $212. And you had to be paid up in full. And my next paycheck came like 3 days after registration. So I joined the Army, and then I liked it. Stayed, had a break in service from about 02 to 05. A lot of reasons I came back. I would say, honestly, first and foremost, when you look back and you can look at it 20 years later, probably a little bit of guilt. Started having friends dropping day and night. We were I'm a cavalry scout, always was all my years. So we did a lot of, the recon, did light, heavy, whatever. Started losing friends, so rejoined. And then I think I always got to look. I retired in 2017, and it was a medical retirement. I think, about 18 total years in. It was kind of one of those, my surgeon, after my 6th, 7th surgery, was kind of like, hey, you can either drop your packet or I will. End result, I think I got out at just the right time. Had I reconnected with my wife about 10 years ago, we had just we knew each other, best friends in high school, diverged. At about that time, about a year before I was retiring, I had, I reconnected with her. I also had a very serious run-in from troop all the way up through brigade level chain of command out at Fort Bliss. Not even saying this from that, just literally everybody I know that's ever had to be there. That's where I retired out of. For some reason, a very toxic leadership environment. Stood up for some of my guys. Not going to go into all that, but when up through brigade chain of command wouldn't listen to me, went to use the open door policy up at division. They had to stop what they were doing, but the retaliation was just, they, took my platoon within a couple days, sent me somewhere else, but just all these things. And I was in a pretty bad place because at that point, my platoon was my family. I was the platoon daddy. I was the platoon sergeant. That was my family. But God put my wife back in my path. Married, 2 beautiful children now. And I've had 3 people I'm rather close to and commit suicide over the last several years. None of them really expected. Everybody always says, I didn't think it out of him, but one of them, the last one, a friend of mine, God bless him, Kenneth Barham, ended his life out there at in El Paso, and that was actually a lot of the dust up with the chain of command. Turns out afterwards, I found out that they'd known he'd been sleeping in his car. His fiance had kicked him out of the house. He wasn't doing well. Not even the chaplain visited him. So at one of the operations meeting, I just kind of went off on everybody, and they didn't even have a safety stand down for the man day, anything like that. So anyways, that's it. Got out. I was going to go work for Blackwater, Triple Canopy, Constellus, one of those when I retired. Because again, I was combat arms. I didn't have, every time you tried to get college going or anything like that in the military, deployment, NTC, whatever would come up. So got out. My older brother's been in IT for about 25 years. Helped him and his partner stand up a company called Virtual Service Operations. I was the managed service director for about 4 years. And then the last 2 years, we were finally big enough. I moved over. I was just the director of veterans programs, running all that kind of stuff. And I resigned that in January and started my own company called Traveled Way With. Any of you that ever did recon in the military might recognize that term. And doing that now, it's I hope to go live in September or October, giving myself a 30-day window there. But I'm attacking an industry that if I do this right, I will do to that industry what Uber did to taxis. So that's it. I'm
Interesting.
thankful to God every day I'm here. Thankful for every friend I have. A lot more aware, than I was, 15 years ago. Any one of my friends, if I see a missed call or anything like that, if they're vets, I can't tell you the anxiety I feel before I can get a hold of them, like, oh my gosh, what if I was that last call and, trying to get back a hold of them because that's how one of them happened. So, that's about it. That's me in a nutshell. Thankful to God and,
Got a question.
trying to,
Got a question for you.
yes, sir.
Who's your client going to be?
My clients will be any company for now until first quarter of 2025, any client in the IT footprint. Honestly, I'm starting with the IT field, and then my plan is MVP2 will launch mid first fiscal quarter, which is just an update on the software and back end. But January will be a launch. I'm being kind of purposefully vague. Somebody wants to know more about it, I'd be happy to give a basic overview, the little elevator pitch to everybody. But I'll be launching other industries every quarter. The plan is 2 industries per quarter after that. And hopefully I got in the right space at the right time. And my limited intellect that's been rattled around by a couple IED blasts can still keep its focus enough to get through to go live. I'm good at team management. I'm good at all that. I hate the legal and the financial crap, but I get myself through it.
Why should
I
you
hear
be
you.
alone?
Well, go ahead and actually for everybody, go ahead and put in your contact info so that we can stay in touch outside of this and put that in the chat, if you will. I'm going to go ahead and put mine in. Just a little tip I've got over the years is I learned to put what I want in these into a Word document so that it's easy to copy and paste.
So true.
Because otherwise I'd be here all half the meeting keyboarding that stuff in there.
That's,
Well,
that's still the logo from Virtual Service Operations. I don't use Zoom enough that I've changed it. But you did ask, Bob. My basic concept is I hate recruiting. I know there's a lot of money in recruiting. So I simply asked myself, how do I make money off recruiting and not do any damn recruiting? And
Interesting.
so the high-end headhunting part of recruiting is incredibly bloated. Their fees, I don't know if any of you have ever had to use it, but low end, you're going to pay 20%. High end, you'll pay up to 32% nowadays of the first year salary of that person. So my entire pricing model is roughly 45% of that. And after that, but that's just pricing. That gets the clients, hopefully a couple enterprise level will sign with me here in the next couple of weeks. The original end is I have through large networks, starting with all my veterans networks, friends, LinkedIn networks. Once I start truly marketing third week of July, it is a agent. You literally come, you sign up with my service, and you get notifications. Hey, you won't know the client, but this position is open. You submit a resume, stick it in, and if your client interviews and is hired, then 30 days after their date of hire, you get 30% of that fee. So you do one thing, if you're getting an L3 database somebody that a little more high end, which is where 90% of our business will be, the agents can make $3,500 to $4,800 a pop. Do one, pay for your family vacation. It's designed for people at home, people that don't want to leave their jobs. Honestly, my design is Uber. It's
Okay.
Take the recruiting industry, the high-end recruiting industry, open it up to everybody, because I do believe that, like my tagline says, the people in your industry know the best people for that industry. That's
Yep.
it. Elevator
Cool.
speech from
All
All
there.
right, cool.
Well,
Thank you.
definitely stay in
Let's-
touch.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
we will. Willem, can you take some about 5 minutes or so and tell us about you and a little bit about your story?
Yes. Oh, good thing you did because I was about to walk out because I have to go to another meeting. But I'll quickly talk about my background. So I'm retired NYPD. Retired in 2021 after 21 years of combined New York City, New York State federal service. And my last assignment was working on mental health, actually. The NYPD suicides that we had throughout the department. That was in 2019, we had about 10 suicides. Historically, we averaged 5 to 6, but when it went up to 10, and just like the other military person knows, if you have a flag officer kill himself, which was a chief, it became a bigger problem, right? Everyone that was so-called enlisted or junior ranking, it didn't matter if you were a detective, a patrol officer, a sergeant, a lieutenant. God forbid, it's okay. But once you make a one-star chief, and all of a sudden you kill yourself, all of a sudden it becomes a bit epidemic. It's crazy. It's just like I felt like just the same thing like the military. I recently, last year I retired from the Army Reserve after 34 years. Did 12 years enlisted, combat medic, nurse, dietitian's aide, and the last 22 years as a health service officer, 70 hotel. I think Dennis might know what that is. Medical ops, basically. But I didn't do medical ops. I was in Iraq with Army Civil Affairs, working on provincial elections, economic development, and basically the literacy campaign. And then I tried to sit it out, after I came back from Iraq, and then I got called up on a special assignment with the Marines in Helmand, Afghanistan, to be on the human terrain team. I don't know if you guys heard about that special project with General Petraeus. So I was the human terrain team leader with RCT-1 and RCT-5 in Camp Dwyer. And that was basically it. And then last couple of years, I spent my time as the military detachment commander for the selective service system. And then when they asked me to take another assignment overseas, in AFRICOM, I said, forget it, I'm done. So I just basically left at the retire. I said, I don't care about making 06. I don't care about command. I did my time. It's time to go, And so
What are you doing now?
So my current assignment is I'm getting sworn in very shortly in about 3 weeks to be the New York City director of the selective service system, a civilian position. But you have to be appointed by you have to be nominated, I should say, by your governor of your state, and then federally appointed from that point on. So
Congratulations.
yeah, so
I think so.
do background checks, and I'm like, yo, I told the guy I still have my security clearance from my Army Reserve days, and I still got to go through this whole background check from the state and the federal government. Yeah, so
Right. Well, I honestly, I'd love to have you scheduled to tell your story, like I said, and you too, Duke. Kevin, we haven't heard from you yet today. Are you able to chat?
Can I ask one real quick question? So, Willem, did I understand you were with the red teams?
When you said red team, I try to tell people I was never in intelligence, so even though I was, had to pass information to DIA, I was not I'm not on the red side, you know what I'm saying?
Just that you were asymmetric, just not red. Right, I got it. All right.
And the thing is, all the guys on my team in Afghanistan were all civilians, right? So I was the only military team leader. It's almost like when the Marines look at my guys, they say, who the fuck are these guys? They look like guys just wearing Birkenstock and eating tofu and sipping lattes all day. I said, look, my guys have a different objective from yours. If we can't achieve our objective, you could fucking punch them in the face and kick them in the face if you need to. But that's it, right? That's why I said.
I love it.
Very good.
Kevin, are you there? Can you join us and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kevin Gardner. I'm a recently retired Army guy. I just finished up my time here at, I'm still going to call it Fort Bragg.
Please
Thank
do.
you.
I did 22 and a half years in the infantry, and I had only the best spots available to me throughout my time in the Army. You know, Fort Bragg, Fort Campbell, Fort Benning, and the Sandbox.
Mhm.
So I'm from Fort Campbell originally, and I am an Army brat through and through. My brother served until he was medically separated from the Army. My dad served. I've got a wife and 3 daughters. Yeah, so life is crazy. It's hectic. Fortunately for me, I have a job lined up back in Tennessee that I'm going to get ready to start working on here shortly. Just finishing up out the school year here with my family, and then we'll be moving back to Tennessee shortly.
Excellent.
Nice.
Well, welcome home. I'm just above Nashville and White House, so
Yeah.
all right, excellent. Uh, Tony Riggs.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. It's Friday. Doesn't mean a whole lot to an entrepreneur, but it's still Friday, so every day is a work day.
Yes.
I introduced myself last time, but some new people. So I served in the Marine Corps from 89, 95. Got out, started my first business in 99 after bouncing around a few small companies. That business still runs today. Several other businesses. I'm an entrepreneur by trade. I mentor veterans. I connect with veterans. I just try to help out where I can with the resources I have and try to have fun in life. And 3 kids, married 32 years. Oh my God, is it 32 years? Yeah, wow. And then they all have businesses and we just kind of have fun together and enjoy life.
Very cool. Love
Excellent.
it. Great story.
And I don't think Austin is. I don't know if Austin can join us at all. I know he says he's listening from his work. But Austin, if you can pop in at all, just let me know. Moshe.
Okay. I guess I'm the only one here who's not served in the military, although my dad served during Korea. My name is Moshe Math. I'm a partner in a company called Neuro and Train Sciences. And the reason I'm so glad to be part of this is I got involved with the military by accident. I was involved as an exhibitioner as a favor at um, an event called Jeet Kune Do, which was started by the late Bruce Lee. And so our systems were there to help with people who had discomfort or so forth from all the physical activity they may not be accustomed to because it was intensive. In the process, I met several veterans who were there, and some of them a couple of them had PTSD, and they were stunned by how much better they felt afterwards, both physically as well as the PTSD went away for a while. It does not solve the problem, but it goes away for a while. In the process, I had befriended someone who was head of his reserve unit. So I was in Atlantic County. He was serving his platoon was in Atlantic County. So I would go there every other month while when he was there for the weekend and place reservist on with permission, of course, to use the system to see if it could help them, and it did physically. The other time I got to oh God, in New Jersey, Fort Dix, when he was there, and someone who was in the COSC unit saw the effect it had on other people, and he asked me if I'd be willing to travel to a COSC unit for them to try, and I said sure, and I knew it'd be a distance, and he wrote to them and said that he thought that they should try because this could help with different issues that people have. And unfortunately, my meeting with him was on December 8th of 2019. And we all know what happened not long after that. I was hoping to get to Willem because one of the areas that he and I may share in common is I've actually placed the police on our systems and had good results in our local community, and would love to do more with the police in the future. from a physical standpoint, as well as the SWAT team. In fact, the former chief of police gave me permission to use her name to try to work with the local SWAT office in the community to see how this could help them after their mission's completed. So that gives you an idea of what we're doing. Brainwave entrainment is when your computer freezes and it's either too heavy or too expensive to throw against the wall in frustration. So what you do is you turn it off and on again and hope to forgot I had a problem, and that's what we're doing with the brain.
Very
So
cool.
thank you all for your time and patience.
Absolutely. Well, I know
So
Austin
people-
mentioned that he might be able to pop in here shortly.
hope
Would
so.
love to hear from you, Austin, if you can. But if you can't, we understand. So, you know, I'm thankful that you guys who are here were here because and willing to share a little bit of your stories because it's important. Every story is important. Every person's story is important. And that's what we want to be able to do, as I stated before, is to give you a platform to tell your story. You know, the advantage that we have right now is that we're around to tell the story. There's nobody who knows your story completely other than you. And the folks that I'm working with the Gold Star families and those that paid the ultimate price, that died while serving our nation, are not around to tell their story anymore. And so it's much more of a challenge to go and piece that story together. And I do want to encourage you. I have pledged to myself, for the benefit of my family, to start a process of collecting the stuff so that they're not going to have to go searching when my time on Earth is finished. But you know, and there's plenty of services out there. I'm not looking to replicate what somebody else is doing. And yeah, there's folks can charge a lot of money to help you tell your story, but I think you can do it pretty decently yourself anyway. But I'd like to encourage you all to do that. Think about that and to make an effort to especially for those of us who have kids and grandkids, that I know that mine will be interested in hearing at least most of it.
You know, Dennis, I think that's important. If I can say one thing, I think I've thought a lot about it. You know, friends that left unwillingly, that did the most, let's be honest, the most selfish act that a person can do. You know, it's like I told that chain of command when I was upset about Kenneth. Look, you guys knew I blame him for what he did, but you hold some accountability. You know, this is an obvious could have been stopped kind of situation. One of the things that you have to get, and it took my wife and God to do it, but most people don't. I think, especially if you're leaning towards, you know, having mental issues, severe PTSD, or even TBI, sometimes it's not even a subconscious or conscious choice. It's a chemical or injury choice. They don't want their story told. They don't think they're worth
Right.
having their story told. They don't, it's that self-worth. It's that understanding that you have a worth, an inherent worth, and it's also not based. I mean, there was a time there, I don't know if anybody else can relate, that I was like, hey, when I'm done, you know, I don't have anybody. When I'm done, I'll put on my dress blues and, you know, end it. Because that's, you know, that's the end of your career. That understanding that you're of more value than just the service you gave your country, that you have an inherent value because you're a human being, that you have an other inherent value because you're one of my brothers and sisters in the United States, and then an added value because you're a veteran. But those values don't reach a sum total. Their sum total is literally infinity when it comes to your values. So I think that is a message I don't hear a lot. The military, just like most other large companies and government organizations, they give lip service to there'll be no moniker. You're not going to get black, bold or anything like that. If you talk about your mental health issues, yeah, we got an open door policy. It's those kind of things. But and I'm not trying to be political here, but it's the same concept as trying to say, hey, there's no inflation right now.
Yeah.
Everybody that's living it, everybody that's in the military that works with understands that there is. If I go and say, hey, I'm having some trouble. Well, if you're a cop, guess what? Give me your gun and badge for a while. Not realizing that might be the thing that's actually kind of keeping you going. I look at how veterans do it. Like I used to train guys for long runs or ruck marches. Hey, once you're moving, there's no point in sitting there and looking at Austin. You were an 11 bang bang. I know for a long time. I was just a 19 Delta. You teach them, hey, it's not that. Look at the next tree. Find the next terrain feature and say, okay, I'll walk to there, then I'll quit. Then when you're there, look at the next one and walk to there and quit. Same thing for distance running or long rucks. And we got to identify that, in my opinion. It's that, call somebody, you're worried about them. I value you. I value you because of who you are. And that's a message that I don't think gets out there enough. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor. I just know what I needed to hear. And I'm sure that other people have similar things that they needed to hear.
I agree, Duke. Thanks. Austin, you said you can step in here for a moment. Please do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Are you guys able to hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Awesome. No, I greatly appreciate, everybody taking the time to share their story. I'm going to keep this quick as much. I know that I'm scheduled to speak here relatively soon, so I'm really looking forward to everybody being there for that. So just a tad bit about myself. Dennis, I am a Gold Star, as I'm sure you probably knew. Reaching out to me over LinkedIn, and thank you for sending the invite to this meeting. I am not military myself, and I do happen to work on the House Committee on Veteran Affairs out of Washington, D.C. So I am currently on the Hill. I'm, doing my service, doing my due diligence to serve the military veteran population, mainly to honor my father, who passed away in Iraq in 2009. I've, spent pretty much all of the life that I can remember with veteran service organizations all across the board, namely TAPS, Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, that some of you might know, and other really awesome organizations. That's kind of led me on this path of I would say the least resistance. It's been, God's blessed me with a really great journey to be able to provide veteran service and to again honor my father in ways that I never would have expected. Just to kind of impede on that, I was 9 years old when he was in Iraq. That was his 5th tour. He was Army, military police. He served in criminal investigations department on that last year, and he also did not make it home. And the reason that they had stated was because it was suicide. There are questions surrounding whether or not that was the truth. I know somebody in the call earlier mentioned, I think that might have been you, Duke, who had mentioned, toxic leadership to a degree. And so that kind of plays a little bit into my story. And, although that might have been the case, I still value him as my hero regardless. And I serve every single day to honor him to the best of my ability and to honor you guys like yourselves. All of you gentlemen have been awesome. I've really loved hearing your guys' stories, and I really look forward to telling my story here upcoming soon, just of all those details and everything as well. But if there's anything that I can do to be of service to any of you gentlemen, please let me know. I'm still relatively new to the Hill. I've only been on there for about a year, but I'm currently, like I said, staff assistant for the House Committee on Veteran Affairs in Washington, D.C. And like I said, I really do appreciate you guys taking your time to share your stories, and I really appreciate it.
Hey, Austin, this is
Austin, I
Duke.
appreciate you.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Duke.
I was just gonna say, Austin, this is Duke. You're private on LinkedIn. You don't have to. You're welcome to reach out to me if you want to set it up there. I do have some connections. I was the director of veteran programs for my company for a long time, but I don't involve with a lot of them. But I think it would be interesting to talk. Somebody could literally write a thesis paper on that point alone, because
Absolutely.
I don't care if it's the government bureaucracy, the military, police forces, problem is that there is a 0%, sorry, I said that wrong. There is 0% accountability and repercussions for that toxic leadership. It is never addressed
Mhm.
because the people with the power, those people that are in those positions of power set their leadership environments. And
No, and I totally agree with that statement. And too, it is a very unfortunate reality too. And I'd definitely love to have a further conversation on that. Pick your brain as to what you think on that, and what other military veterans are thinking too. As a matter of fact, I think one of the more important parts that I had forgot to mention was that in my, during my time in college, I went to the University of Illinois, but my primary degree was political science and my minor was in psychology. And I went to go and my primary focus on psychology was to wrap my head around, you know, military veteran PTSD. When I say that my entire early life, from 9 years old to now, I'm currently 24, has been, just taking on battle after battle, veteran service organization, having individual conversations with military veterans. This is my life's work. This is what I'm going to be doing. 50 years down the line, I'm still going to be doing this, and I've really just set myself forward on trying to do the best I can to serve my military veteran population and to make sure that where the government may have failed, even though I'm currently a part of it, trying to do my best work to improve the system, even though I'm one guy, to try and make ends meet and do the best I can where areas are lacking. And as far as that military goes, as far as the toxic leadership goes, definitely got the biggest, quite a big brunt force of it. Definitely more to come on my story that I'll share later about all that. Definitely goes to a lot of a darker and deeper space, but yeah, no, we can definitely have that conversation. And as far as the LinkedIn page goes, I'll make sure to make that public. I actually did not know that I was private, so I'll definitely change that for you. Thank you, and definitely feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to talk.
Thank you.
hey, Austin, can I ask your
Austin.
father's name real quick? I just want to include
Yeah.
him in my prayers.
The more that's probably the most important part, and I seem to have forgotten. So thank you for the reminder on that. He is
Right.
Major David David Otto Audo, and he's definitely my motivation for how to live my life, and all the people he served over as an officer have said nothing less of that too. So he was the leader that many soldiers had said that they would follow into hell, and I really appreciate them for that, and I love him very much.
Austin, and I know we're over time, I want to share one more thing since the committee you're on.
Sure, absolutely.
The thing that I think the civilian population has to understand about the veterans, and I can speak for myself, and I think it's a true statement, and I don't mean to shut out some veterans, but I'm saying particularly about your actual combat veterans, that were outside the wire every day, is that it's not, we talk about the unseeable injuries, the invisible injuries, the mental ones. What they don't talk about is that people go into that, especially in your leadership, you go into that knowing you're going to give that up. You go in knowing that you are going to walk into that, into those battlegrounds and give up a part of your soul. You're going to give up a part of your mind, see things that you'll never be able to unsee. That, I think, put that way, I understand. I don't agree with, but I understand why some of my friends left this world the way they did.
Absolutely.
It's a lack of
Absolutely.
understanding. It's them, people not understanding it. That is just as much a willing acceptance, I think, by most of the people I know, as the physical injuries were. And it's that,
Absolutely.
I think, when it's stated to people like that men walk in there knowing that they will not be the same, that a portion of them will die on that battlefield. I think that's an important message for people to hear.
I agree.
No, absolutely. I
Guys,
completely
I
agree.
appreciate everybody being here. We are over time. I know
Sorry,
I
sir.
personally have to be getting on to another obligation that I have. And I think this has been a tremendous meeting. Bounced back after the disappointment of not getting our featured speaker on, but you guys are what this is all about, and I appreciate what you brought to this meeting. We do have a featured speaker for next week. I will be more diligent about making certain we do the coordination in advance to make certain that she's on board with us. It's a female veteran that we've got featured for next week. So thank you guys. Bob, you and I will touch base here maybe later today or over the weekend. God bless you all.
Got it.
Austin, I hope we can speak
Bye.
soon.
Thank you much. Thank you so much,
Bless
guys.
you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you
Have
for
a
your
good one.
service.